to Action News reporter Annie McCormick, who is at the airport in Northeast Philadelphia there at Atlantic Aviation. And our understanding, Annie, is this is where this Learjet took off from tonight in Northeast Philadelphia in hopes of making its way on its medical assignment to Missouri.
Shari, that's right. And that Jet Rescue Air Ambulance releasing that statement and clarifying what time the crash did occur. They're saying that that was at 6:25. And I'm told, or just by checking the flight tracker, that the flight took off here around 6:06. So giving us a little bit of an idea of how short of a brief amount of time that jet was actually in the air. Now, in looking at their statement as well, and they're confirming that there were 6 people on board, they do say 4 crew members and a patient and also an escort. And that is making sense from what I'm hearing from my sources, is that it was 2 pilots, 2 medics or healthcare professionals, meaning it could be a nurse, it could be a medic, it could be a doctor, we don't know. But in a plane like this, that would make sense because they would likely employ the nurse, doctor, or medic that would go with the patient. So they're likely employees of this company. And again, heartbreaking to hear too that a pediatric patient was the patient that was being transported to Springfield, Missouri. I'm also told that with the escort was a family member of that pediatric patient. We do know that when the flight took off after 6 o'clock, I was told 6:06, it took off from runway 24. Now, Atlantic Aviation has not confirmed to us that the flight took off from there. However, I can tell you since we arrived here, the bulk of activity has been here. In regards to police being here, when we arrived, there were multiple police officers, there were detectives in the tower, and there were a couple people inside, but they looked like people that were waiting for other flights. But when that ground stop went into effect because of the crash, they left. So at this point, we have seen, you saw a video earlier of the FAA arriving. We saw probably, it looked like about 7 to 8 potential investigators that were all here. It looked like they had a meeting inside of Atlantic Aviation before they loaded up a pickup truck and left the scene here. It's not clear, where they went, but there's a potential that those might likely be some of the investigators that are going to actually go to the crash site. Now, there's a number of things that in every situation like this that they're going to be looking at. So the NTSB, of course, an independent federal agency tasked with investigating civil air crashes. They will be, taking over, and the FAA here getting all of their ducks in a row and all of their people as they mobilize now to begin their investigation. And what's interesting is too, and so made such a difference, and some of the people I'm talking to about the level of catastrophe with this is, where this plane crashed, and the Boulevard and Cottman, rush hour, all of those lanes of traffic. They're 2 major intersections. There's the mall. There's so much there. It is the worst place for this to happen. I'm dating myself here, but 1991, I remember being in 6th grade watching the news coverage in Lower Merion when Senator John Hines' plane had a midair collision with a helicopter, and everyone died, including 2 young children that were on the ground in Lower Merion. They were hit by debris. So, in our region, obviously that's a long time ago. But if you grew up here and you remember, that's something that is etched in my memory as a young child, and that's really the only comparison that I can think of within recent years, or decades, in regards to crashes of this level and the impact that it had, and also harming people on the ground as well. So, but one of the things too that I was told by people within the aviation community, because we were talking about weather conditions. It's been really foggy and rainy, and it was really foggy just before 6 p.m. and people in the aviation industry explained to me that there are special instruments for specific types of planes. It's on a wide spectrum. So, you know, when you have Coast Guard officials that you're seeing in planes and they're going through all those crazy wind and rain and all that, it's because they have different types of instruments that are better equipped for those conditions. Now, I don't know if that is a good comparison to the medical jet that was here. However, I was explained to me by some people in the aviation community that a medical jet of this caliber would have a level of special instruments that would give them a little bit more leeway to fly in conditions like this. So this is going to be a huge undertaking to investigate, not just because of the area of debris and just the mere square footage that they have to go to collect all of the pieces of this plane. In the past, when we've covered crashes like this, it's been explained to us by the NTSB and the FAA about exactly what they do. They essentially get every single piece of the debris, they pack it up, they take it to another facility, and they essentially reconstruct it. And they're obviously looking at other factors too, but that's what they're going to do with all of that and put it together. I will tell you too that right now, initially, even within the first hour of this happening, they're also gathering important information. That includes final transmissions, final communication between the pilot and the tower. That's why when we got here, not only was there a police presence, but detectives, and I was told at least one federal investigator were in the tower. So it looks like that's where they start. They get those nuts and bolts down, and then they continue to gather and gather and gather. And we also know too, again, that after this all happened, I'm told that there were a couple things that they were checking here. There was somebody checking the fuel, which I'm told is done throughout the day and throughout the night. They're always checking fuel, but one of the things they were looking for was potential of any, water because of the rain. Not to say that that's the case. It's just something that they're looking into. So all of those types of factors are going to be really important in this case. I will tell you also that in regards to the activity, there was a sense of urgency when we started to see all of those investigators arrive. It doesn't appear that we've seen any family members or anybody that was connected to the people on the flight. It appeared to all be people that were part of the investigation or first responders. And when we went inside, Atlantic Aviation, not confirming anything at all, but in regards to the ground stop, we are told that the ground stop is specifically because of the crash and not because of the weather as well. So still more information to come, and specifically wondering what exactly this medical mission was for that very young patient who was on the plane.